Hi, my name is Marion Calmer, and I'm a farmer from Western Illinois. And I started doing on-farm research in the middle 80s, and in the middle 90s we saw a significant yield advantage to 15-inch row corn, and I built a corn head that could harvest it, and that was the birth of what we now know as Calmer corn heads, where we build the world's largest corn heads and also the narrowest row spacings, 15-inch and even on down into 12-inch. And lastly, we have invented the world's first chopping stalk roll that can actually take the corn stalk and turn it into confetti. We are here today at the Commodity Classic in San Antonio, Texas. It's early March, and it's an honor today to be joined with Randy Dowdy from southern Georgia, and just won the National Corn Growers Competition again this year. And last year Randy planted his corn in 15-inch rows for the first time, and used our corn head to pick it with. So Randy, tell me your first impressions of 15-inch corn from last year.
Well, we had a little bit of exposure to narrow row corn. For several years we planted 36-inch twin row corn, and we had some 8-inch twins for a while, and then we shifted that over to a 12-inch twin. So we've had some 12-inch middles or 24-inch middles with a 12-inch twin, and we found that there were some limitations there, and we wanted to look at other things. Quite often when we make high yields, everybody would say when we were doing that row spacing we made 503, and they said, well, it's because of the corn head or the row spacing that he's using. Right. We don't have that, et cetera, et cetera. That's got to be why he's making these big yields. So we were then kind of motivated to, well, most of the plant's on 30s. Let's try 30s. So we planted 30-inch corn just to see how good we could do, and the highest yields we got up to was 486, which was we planted them for a couple of years. Pretty good corn. It was worth harvesting. Yeah. And we had some good yields in that, but I wanted to try 15s. I knew there were some advantages to narrow rows, being able to farm more of the acre, number one, and then number two, capture a lot of that sunlight. And we tried 15s for the first time last year, and God blessed us. I mean, we had a really good year with having copious amounts of sunshine. That's a variable we can't control, but I'm anxious to see how it's going to do in just normal weather as opposed to a sunshine premium year. But right now, I mean, we planted some at 28,000, 32,000, all the way up to 56,000. And with the year we had last year, we were very impressed. And we were very impressed. We had different varieties, we had different populations, we had different hybrids, etc. And we had some that had some challenges. And some of those challenges came from some 70 to 80 mile an hour straight line winds from thunderstorms, and it blew some hybrids flat. Then 3 days later, we had another storm and blow the rest of it to another direction. So we had some corn that was standing, and then we had some corn that blowed down, and we were able to see, how well the Calmer head did for us, and helping to obviously do a really good job on the corn that was standing, but then help us salvage some of the corn that was on the ground. So it's been a pleasant experience thus far.
Good. The in 15-inch rows, 15-inch by 15-inch is 28,000, and I'm going to guess maybe 15 by 10, would put you into that 30, 40,000 category, 40 maybe even up into 50,000. You mentioned the down corn in 2000. It was very similar in our part of the Midwest. The first storm came about the first day of September and blew it to the northwest, and the next storm came and blew it to the northeast, and it was a slow harvest and a challenging one as well. I think the narrow row corn heads helped quite a bit for down corn, and then we had some low profile poly that we put on your head, and then of course the BT choppers have that revolving window and the ability to kind of suck the material on in as well. So about how fast were you able to drive in standing corn at over 500 bushel, and then what happened when you got into the down corn?
Well, we run a 680, and I remember in 2014 we were running an old, what's the
9650?
9600.
9600.
Okay, yeah. And in 2014 we ran a 9600. This year we ran a 680. And
is that quite a bit of a change?
Just a little bit different in horsepower and just concept of how things work. What a change. But we were able to get into a rotor machine, and a lot of things were different. But everybody's always asked, what's it like to harvest high yielding corn? And with that 6-row machine, with the 9600, we could go about 1.6 with a 1.8 and keep it in the machine.
Right.
And then when we bought the 680, the John Deere dealer said, you know, this is a lot more machine than you're used to, and you need to make sure that, you know, we need to load this machine up. And I kept hearing, we need to load this machine up for it to perform at its optimum. And I said, well, okay, we'll just see how it performs. Well, we get in the field, we start harvesting corn, and we're going 2.5 miles an hour. And I'm watching the instrumentation, and he says, okay, now, as you can tell, there's really no load here. You like to go slow. I get that. And I said, well, I like to keep all the corn in the tank. If I grow it and spend the money, I don't want to walk it out the back. And we went up to, 3 miles an hour, and he's getting out of the back of the machine, and I'm looking in the back glass, constantly looking to see how it's coming in the machine. And he says, all right, 3 miles an hour, we're good. He said, now I'm up to 3.5. I said, they won't take it. He said, oh, no, Randy, you don't understand. This is a different machine. I said, no, I don't think you understand. And we were in 350 to 380 bushel corn, and which is, good corn. And he says, well, Randy, I just want you to trust me for a minute. He says, we got about 1,000 feet to go. He says, I'm going to hop out on and off the combine. We'll stop, and we'll just see what it looks like. So we harvest some corn at 3.5, and he comes in and makes a couple adjustments right off the bat, and then we go to, he says, now push it to 4. I said, man, I'm not doing 4. He said, Randy, just trust me. And we go to 4 miles an hour, and the machine's eating it, it's not lugging, nothing's happening, and he said, see, I told you to harvest it. And by the time we turn that around at the end row and we get in, and we set back in on the next pass, man, it looked like you had just sowed corn with a spreader for a dove field or something. It was terrible. And the combines will eat it. They don't have the capacity to put it in the tank. That's the problem. It walks across the back, especially high moisture corn. It can't handle that kind of volume. So, for us, when we're in 350 bushel corn, we can go 3.5 and be okay. If we want to keep most of it, though, we got to slow down. I mean, the combine's a limiting factor. It's not the corn head at that point. Corn head will eat it.
Right.
The combine becomes a limiting factor is putting it in the tank, and especially high moisture. Now, the drier you get, obviously that helps, and you can separate and do a better job. But right now, high yields. If I've spent the money, at that point, I'm interested in getting it in the tank and settling it across the scales, not just the fact that the combine can eat it.
In the early days when we came out with a 15-inch corn head that only had one gathering chain on it, we had a lot of people tell us, you can't pick corn with just one gathering chain. And I told everybody, I said, well, I've been doing it for 20 years and haven't lost a crop yet. And, I think in your scenario, we can pick 500 bushel corn with a single gathering chain, and we can harvest wind-blown corn with a single gathering chain. So I think the corn head stood up really well. And the other feature that I wanted to ask you a little bit about is one of the things that's becoming really popular is our stalk rolls. And the BT chopper basically turns that corn stalk into confetti. And I know you double crop, and you like to come right in behind as quick as you can, and you're also picking green corn, which is a little different than what we have in the Midwest. And so tell us a little bit about planting into the residue, or what little bit of tillage you may do after that 500 and some bushel residue.
Well, obviously there's a lot of residue there, and we have to manage it. The first thing we use is obviously your technology. We've used chopping corn heads in the past, but we like to double crop behind it, and to do that we've got a lot of litter to manage. So we run a vertical tillage rig one pass, and then we're planting soybeans or corn, or soybeans or peas behind the corn crop. And we've got a long season, and by the time that we harvest those peas or beans end of November, 1st of December, when we get that frost, you can't find a piece of fodder in the field, period. And we attribute that to the passes of management that we're doing. And in the Midwest, a lot of people, what we have that they don't, we have time and we have heat.
Right.
And we will have moisture as well. We're growing a second crop, but we got a lagoon there fixating nitrogen to help break down that that crop as well. And we're paying the carbon penalty in the fall as opposed to next spring. So we like to do that for free with that nitrogen fixation as well. But we're breaking down the fodder really, really fast. It's worked out for us very well, and the people in the Midwest need to be chasing the combine, whether they've got this technology. If they don't have this technology, they need to adapt something similar, or they need to run a vertical tillage rig. They need seed to soil contact. They need to minimize that litter, and start that residue process breaking down, because they're going to pay a penalty next year, whether it's interfering with the planter or whether they're going to pay that carbon penalty or both. And the last thing we need to do at this point is to, we've got tight margins already. We need to maximize ROI, and these are great tools to be using.
Yep, that's good to hear. University of Illinois just did a study this past year where they compared using OEM stalk rolls and the chopping stalk rolls, and just like you said, we need to break down that residue as fast as possible, put the nitrogen back into the soil, and then if we add any extra nitrogen, we don't want it to tie up with the corn stalks. So as we move on to next year, and you look forward to planning on another year with 15-inch rows, and trying to maybe do it a little bit better than you have in the past. Anything else that you're planning for next year that's going to be exciting to keep track of?
Well, we're playing with a new planter design. They just, Harvest International out of Storm Lake, Iowa, just got through building a planter per my request and the way I want it designed. We're going to play with fertilizer placement. We've been quite often focusing on fertilizer placement to enhance yield. A lot of people do in furrow, a lot of people do 2x2, a lot of people do both. We're now placing fertilizer on both sides of the row. How can we do that and not interfere with the planting process? That's the key. How can we do that and let the planter do what it does best, and that's plant seed, and be able to place fertilizer as well without having a bunch of attachments attached to that actual row unit. So that's been the goal, and we finally got a company that built us a parallel toolbar design with nothing on it. So we're going to try that this year with a new planter. That's exciting for us. And then the next big thing is, David Hula provoked me in 2011 when we made 350 the first time. He said, "Randy, duplicate what you've done." He said, "When you can duplicate it, then you understand the science behind what you've done." And he said, that's the goal. Dewey Lee, the state agronomist, when we made 350 and 360 the same year, he said, "Randy, understand the science behind what you do." He said, if you understand the science behind what you do, the chances of you duplicating it's a lot easier.
Right.
And so now that we made high yields with 15-inch rows, now we're going to see if we can duplicate it. That's the goal. And, duplicate it and maybe take it higher. I mean, God bless us with good weather. Hopefully we'll have the same this year. And we're looking forward to hopefully replicating what we've done and even take it higher.
Alrighty, that sounds good. Well, we're looking forward to working with you again this fall with a corn head, and maybe someday we'll talk about 12-inch by 12-inch, which is 43,560, and maybe push the envelope even a little bit higher. But again, congratulations on winning this year and all the work that you've done. And I also got to say, from all of us that farm, we appreciate you coming around on tour and giving presentations like what you're going to do here today, and not being afraid to share what you've learned to help all of us grow a little more food for all of God's people. So anyway, congratulations, and we wish you the best.
Thank you. And the biggest thing I try to provoke farmers all the time is to continue to be a student of the crop. We've been doing things for a long time, a certain way.
Yep.
And a lot of us have the mentality that if it's not broke, we don't fix it. And you got to continue to be a student of the crop, keep pushing, be willing to share information. Farmers like to keep a cloak of secrecy around them. And when I came to the Commodity Classic the first time after winning in 2011 with 279 bushel corn, I asked a lot of high-yielding growers what they did, and nobody would share information.
Yeah.
I vowed that year, 2011, if I ever had success, I'd pay it forward. And that's why I share the information that I do. And I'm not out to keep this cloak of secrecy around me. Matter of fact, David will tell you, he's a guy that's been winning since the 90s. I am free with information, and he's actually picked up some things. I maybe need to quit talking to David, though. He's my competition. But, I practice what I preach, and I don't mind him beating me with some of our things we do, and he's helped me too, and it's been a good friendship. So thank you again for, being there. Your guys was integral in our success this year, and we appreciate it.
All righty. Well, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to call us at Calmer Cornheads at 309-629-9000. And if you have any specific questions and you'd like to talk to me on my cell phone, I'm at 309-368-1182. And with that, we thank you for taking time to watch our little talk here today.